So this week in like our reading, we learned about like the brain and kind of like the parts of the brain and what they do and kind of how that like attributes to you as a person and stuff. And so when I was like reading about it, the Broca's area really interested me, and that part of the brain, it's essential for language production. And when people receive like damage to that area, they like have difficulty producing any language. Like sometimes it's even like writing and speaking, but sometimes it's just speaking. It's kind of different in every person, but the French physician and anatomist, Pierre Paul Broca, he discovered that area because he had two patients who were suffering from not being able to like speak anymore, even though they didn't like have any issues to any of their like muscles or anything like that. He found they both had lesions in this area, so they call it Broca's area now because of him. And an example that the book has about this is about Padma, and they were an electrical engineer. They were socially active, and she was caring and an involved mother. And about 20 years ago, she was in a car accident and suffered damage to her Broca's area, and she completely lost the ability to speak and form any kind of meaningful language. They checked and there's nothing wrong with like her mouth or her vocal cords, but she is just unable to produce any kind of words. She can follow directions, but she can't respond verbally. She can read, but she can't write. She can do routine tasks like running to the market to buy milk, but she can't communicate verbally if the situation needed it. So in her case, it affected her speech, but it didn't affect any of like her writing or understanding of language. One of the articles says that the exact role of Broca's area in language production is unclear, but a lot of people think that it directly impacts the motor skills that are involved in the speech. And so that's why it like stops people from being able to form their words, because it just kind of, since psychology, see your brain tells like all of your body to do what you're doing. So somehow if you get damage to that area, it like stops being able to send like the signals of the motor skills to your mouth somehow. I'm not really sure. But there's different regions of Broca's area, and they specialize in like different parts of speech and comprehension. And so the anterior portion helps with the meanings of words, and the posterior portion helps with how words sound. So I'm guessing depending on where the damage is to that area can like change what kind of happens to the person. And so it says that injuries that happen to the Broca's area can result in inability to both produce written and spoken language. But sometimes they like forget certain words in the sentences, like that they don't think is so essential, so they'll just say only like the main words, and then you just kind of have to figure out what they're saying in between. Like they'll forget certain words, and other times they like know what they want to say, but they can't say it. And then other times it just results in stuttering. And so it just is kind of different in every person. But they also said that in some cases there will be no damage to the Broca's area, but no damage or lesions or anything like that, but the patient will like have issues with producing language. So they think that there might be another part of the brain that kind of contributes to that also. Or there's times when they have damage to the Broca's area, but they don't have any issues with speech or anything like that. So it's kind of weird how it's kind of different in every person. But an example that I found, there was an 18-year-old girl, and she had a stroke while she was in class, and she because of her stroke, there was limited blood flow to the Broca's area, and that's one of the like main reasons there becomes damage there, is when there's limited blood supply up there. And so she was unable to speak at all for a very long time, and her a lot of her body was paralyzed, and so she had she couldn't read or write or understand concepts, or numbers was really hard for her too. And so in her situation, it was very hard for her to even comprehend any of the words. Her mom set up a YouTube channel for her to kind of like track their progress, and so I watched some of her videos. I watched the first one's from about a year, almost a year after her stroke happened, and she has a really hard time answering the questions that her mom's asking, but she has a like pad of paper, but she can, at that point, after like lots of therapy and stuff, she's able to write down what she wants to say, but she can't like say it. But then you watch videos from like, let me see, like just a couple months ago, and she's able to talk very well. She still has like a little bit of a hard time, but it's just an amazing improvement from when she couldn't even speak at all, and now she just has a little bit of a hard time producing certain words. So I thought that was really interesting.